Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. Christmas 2025 in Poland is shaping up to be less about excess and more about choices. Although Poles declare they will spend 13% more than last year, real holiday costs are falling and many households are deliberately slowing down, cutting impulse purchases and prioritizing time, security, and meaningful gifts over quantity. With inflation easing, wages rising, and borrowing still largely avoided, this cautious approach reveals deeper shifts in how Poles think about money, family, and Christmas itself. Now, to explain what's really behind these trends, we're joined now by Jolanta Grabowska, ESG Manager at ANG Odpowiedzialne Finanse S.A, which operates as a national financial intermediary, which helps individuals and businesses. Good to have you on TVP World. Happy holidays.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Yes, hello.
So let's talk about the holidays. I mean, obviously it's about the season of giving and receiving. So looking at one of these very recent reports, actually your study, the ANG Finance report here, where are these cutbacks happening? Tell us about the major trends that you see here and what are Poles cutting back on and why?
Well, thank you for invitation one more. Well, generally we have published and released our second edition of report called Finance and Christmas, and we are observing that Poles are becoming increasingly aware of their personal finance and are taking more conscious approach to spending. And it's not only daily spending, but especially Christmas spendings. And according to our research, the vast majority of Poles, it's 70%, want to limit the costs associated with Christmas, but they don't want to do this in a radical way, rather responsible and thoughtful.
Okay.
So what that's, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. What does that mean practically, and where are they cutting back, and what's this awareness mean?
Well, first of all, we are looking for, as Poles, we are looking for good price promotion before Christmas. We are planning our shopping. Some of us, almost 30%, want to prepare our food themselves, because sometimes we, of course, can buy ready-made cakes, ready-made dumplings, but these days we are preferred to prepare it by ourselves, which also, of course, means that we spend less money because it is just cheaper than buying. And some of us want to also prepare gifts for ourselves. It is just very popular method, do it yourself. Yes, that's also very common and popular. So we can observe also the less consumerism, because we don't want to buy new decoration, Christmas decoration, and we don't want to buy new clothes for Christmas. So we are doing that in very conscious way, I think.
Mm-hmm. But also interesting, I mean, you said 70% of Poles are trying to limit that. Is there anything in particular, I mean, we mentioned about gifts and do-it-yourself, cooking yourself, but in terms of like cutting back as well, does this impact more the food, or is this also about gifts? Is it both? I mean, do you see a trend of maybe Poles are spending more on one area or the other?
Well, I think that we are approaching that in quite conscious way. So, of course, we also asked the respondent how do living costs impact Christmas. So, of course, the living costs, it is just what you have said. It is food. It is our way to live, where we are traveling, we are reaching our jobs to every day. So all these costs matters for us. So it is generally 40% said this is the way. And we, of course, are thinking about our beloved, because we don't want to resign of buying gifts. So we have also asked about that. What will be the price of the gifts, and generally we want to spend from 100 zloty to 400 zloty for our families, friends, and of course kids and parents.
So you said about 400 zloty, so roughly about $150, something in this range, US dollars.
Yes.
I'm curious also about the idea of maybe borrowing. Do you observe at all on this data, are Poles borrowing money for Christmas? And it's more frugal, so which way are they leaning? How does borrowing factor into this?
We are observing, because we have asked about borrowing money for Christmas for second time, and we are observing the similar answers, because most of us, 80%, do not borrow for Christmas, do not borrow. It is very important that, of course, we are planning the spending, our spendings, and we don't want to borrow money for Christmas. I think it is also very important that we are more and more responsible how we are operating with our home budget. So for us, we are, of course, the brokerage company, but it is good that we are conscious about our financial.
And also in this data, I mean, it's a big number, 70% are limiting that, but let's break that down more. Can you tell us, does this impact different groups in a different way? Younger generation, older generation, men, women? Give us a bit more data if this is across the board, or do you see differences in generations?
When it comes to spending money and, for example, borrow money for Christmas, we have observed that who borrows? We can say that young people borrows and people who lives in the small towns, because in a large towns and for example average age 35, 42, they do not borrow. So the most popular group who borrows for Christmas is young people. And what I can emphasize is that it is young people who use the very popular and common way. We call it buy now, pay later. This is a new service, very common in a platform. And we are always emphasize that we have to be aware that if we do not pay that in the 30 days, it's usually that time, this is our cost, this is our loan, and we have to pay it. So, of course, the young people want to use this way of paying, but they have to be aware that buy now, pay later is also a kind of loan, and we need to be aware of that.
Yeah. And then also, I think what's important, it's a time of season. I mean, as you said, people are taking care more, being more responsible, taking care of their finances, doing things on their own. Maybe going back to the spirit of Christmas, what about charity and all this? Tell us a bit more about how that's changed over the last year or so.
Yes, we are also we are all a nation who is very generous. For example, this year we have also asked, what would you do if you want to, I don't know, to gift from Santa Claus? We have questions like that. You will have 5,000 zloty. What would you like to do with this money? So most of the people want to a Christmas trip, but some of us want to share with that money with others. So it is very important that we as nation, we would like to engage in charity activities. For example, the national, very common and very known campaign, Noble Gift. And we also want to share with others. So we do not forget about others as Poles.
Right. And one thing as well, which we've discovered, maybe you've also come across in your findings, is that roughly around 7-8% of Poles will be actually alone for the holidays. How does that impact this? I mean, do you see this as well in terms of financial, let's say, inability? Why are people alone? What's behind this trend? Do you see that increasing in the next few years?
Well, you know, we have asked about, because this year will be the first year when the Christmas Eve is a public holiday. So we have asked about how that impact to your Christmas time. So many people answers that will be possible to spend more time with the families and friends. So yes, this is very important for Poles because, as we know, we have very long tradition of Christmas, and we really appreciate that. And I think that there are many people who are alone, but there are so many NGOs in Poland who care about people who are alone. And we also are very nation who really cares about the family connection and relations. So also in our research, that shows that more than money, we really appreciate the relations between our families and friends.
Mm-hmm. But it's also interesting because if we look at Poland as a whole, I mean, the economy is still doing quite well. I'm looking at how inflation has impacted the economy as well. Is this reluctance to spend more, is that because people, as you said, are budgeting more? Because overall, Poland is still doing very well. It's still a strong consumer society. So why is that reluctance in your view?
I think that this is what I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, that of course we are in better situation now because as we can observe, the inflation is low, but nevertheless we are changing our thinking. I mean, I hope we do as a nation, that we care about our private finance, that we can and we know how to plan our budget and to be more conscious about our spendings. I think this is it.
All right.
It's not only about our better situation, but it's how we approach the finance.
All right, so interesting stuff. As you said there, more people taking care of themselves, but still an important time in the holidays as we are now entering that season of giving and receiving. Thanks so much for all those really interesting economic insights. That was our guest here, Jolanta Grabowska. Much appreciated.
Thank you and have a good day.
And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks here on TVP World, but stay right here for more news and commentary. Goodbye.